Okay then, let's get into this. So when I'm first handed a session from a client, one of the first things I like to do is organize the session so that I can think more musically and creatively as opposed to technically searching around for tracks, subgroups, reverbs, things of that nature. So in this session, I have drum kit, to which again I will lay out in an order that makes sense to me. Kick in, kick out, snare, hat, toms, overs, and the ambience. Then I have the percussion session, which I can solo everything, mute everything. Down here I put in a subgroup. Then I have basses. There happens to be 3 basses in this track, so they get their own subgroup. Guitars, all electrics and acoustics. Keyboards, color-coded, subgrouped. My orchestral complement in here. And vocals. So let's work left to right in this session, okay? And start from the ground up. So from here all the way left, all the way down here to the end of the vocals are all my source elements. I come from the analog console background. So the way that I build my digital sessions is as follows. I'll take all my source elements and put them on the left. Then my next category is my reverbs and special effects. Then my next category is all the subgroups. And in this particular session, my next category is Neve sidecar that actually is in sitting over on the side of my room over here. You put them in inserts. We'll get more of that in a bit. And then I have a master feed and a recording channel, the far right. So as far as the subgroups, you'll notice that my drums from here all the way to here are bused to what I call trap drums or trap sub. I'm going to go through this a couple of times because it can be a little confusing. So all my drums go to a subgroup. If we come down here to the trap subgroup, you'll see my input is there. And then I will bus that subgroup to one of my Neve channels. You can see the input to the Neve is here. And the output goes to what I call a master feed channel, or stereo feed. The stereo feed has processing on it, and then actually gets routed to a recording channel. I'm a big proponent of not bouncing into a mix, but actually recording into the session. My belief is that the computer is having to crunch so many numbers that it changes the imagery. If you actually take this session and you record it into the session as opposed to bounce it through a master fader or bounce it in any way, the imagery changes. I've done many, many tests, and I strongly believe this. So we have our trap subgroup. Then from here to here, we have our percussion subgroup. Again, we'll do this a couple of times so it sinks in. Percussion subgroup, that's an aux. Got some processing on it. That then gets routed output to the Neves. I've inserted the Neves. I find that actually works best. Because I have 8 channels in Neve, but I have more than, 4 stereo pairs of subgroups. So I actually will subgroup, put effects on, then route them to the Neves, route them to the master fader, and to the recording channels. Basses, same thing. Guitars have their own subgroup, all the guitars down here. Keyboards go to their subgroup. From here to here, keyboard subgroup. Has some processing on it. We'll talk about that in a moment. Youves, master feed, stereo fader, orchestra, and then vocals.